It is time! Hey guys, I'm Dov, and indeed, one of my favorite units in the game, Pistoliers, going to be highlighted in my unit series today as a core unit of the Empire, of course. Today, got a High Elf opponent from ladder, actually Knights of Calidor, interestingly enough. So yeah, 4 Pistoliers, and we've got Balthazar Gelt to help them shine. Get it? Shine? Anyway, Plague of Rust for these Dragon Princes will be the order of the day as soon as we discover them with some nice scouting here. And seeing that they're away from the rest of the army, yeah, we can just pull up. This is 2,000 points, literally a Shaggoth's worth of Pistoliers. And the volume of fire, let's just take a minute to appreciate. Of course, if you guys have never heard me talk about Pistoliers before, you probably never watched the channel or seen any of my Empire replays. Yeah, Pistoliers, what makes them so great is, of course, the volume of fire. 2 aimed shots per volley with great missile damage. Excuse me. 15 missile damage, 2 AP per shot. It might not seem like much, but again, double that, 2 shots per volley, and they are aimed shots, not like the silly Dark Elf scatter bolt throwers and crossbows that just, you know, spray wood everywhere. These things are 2 aimed shots, so they're on target, pretty good fire rate as well, 8.1 seconds, and yeah, very fast, of course, 360 shooting. Their combat stats are pretty poor. In general, that 20 charge bonus is okay, but 20 attack, only 14 defense, and 24 weapon strength is pretty bad overall. But for the rest of the Empire army, we've got a Witch Hunter for more armor sundering, a couple of crossbowmen, spearmen with shields up front, warrior priest, and some Empire knights. And yeah, the steam tank firing away. My opponent here has got some Sisters of Avalorn, these Everqueen's Court Guards. He's gone with a very magic-heavy build. 2 casters, 1 with Lore of Fire, got Fireball, Flaming Sword of Ruin, Piercing Bolts of Burning, and then he's also got a Mage of Life with Earthblood, Shield of Thorns, and Regrowth with a bunch of magic items. I'll talk more about this a little bit later. Just as a quick preview, I do think it's a mistake to take that much magic, but seeing as my opponent's kind of sitting back here, we're going to go ahead and just pressure forward. And of course, the highlight of the day is Pistoliers. So I have a few really good targets to shoot at here. Basically, all of the targets are good, to be honest. The Spearmen and the Silverin Guard in the front line. Silverin Guard have 75 armor, which is pretty good. They have a good missile block chance as well, so I won't want to be shooting them from the front. But if I can shoot these guys from the side or rear, I'll still do a decent amount of damage to them regardless. And of course, the Rangers, with their low armor, they have some physical resistance, but the pistols will still do a lot of damage there. And of course, any of the armored targets with the appropriate armor sundering ability, Sisters of Avalorn as well, only 40 armor. Granted, they will countershoot these Pistoliers very well and just absolutely destroy them, which they're going to try and do. But there's only so many Sisters, and Balthazar can drop some of his heat on them. I'm going to go ahead and just get some harass here, see if we can't get the dragon to come maybe waste a breath attack or something on these guys. I'm also going to start pressuring in the infantry fight here, send in the Sigmar's Sons along with the warrior priest as is tradition straight into the Rangers. Also got these Empire Knights here just to kind of protect this flank. Even if I don't, you know, win against these Dragon Princes and Silver Helms, even if we can just hold them back for a little bit of time. There's a breath attack on the Sons of Sigmar. Straight down does a pretty good amount of damage. I don't know, might have been misclicked. A straight down breath on the Warrior Priest would have done a ton of damage, but I get a little aggressive with Balthazar, see if I can get my opponent to bite on an attack order here, and then pull the Archmage back towards the line of Pistoliers, and there it is, the Plague of Rust. Crossbows, of course, but more importantly, the Pistoliers just absolutely opening up on the Sun Dragon here, I guess the Moon Dragon for the Archmage. You can see a Regrowth getting cast, but it is too late. In just a handful of seconds, thousands of HP gone. We've also got the Accusation on there as well, so no missile resistance and 0 armor. I think, does she only have 60 armor to begin with? Might be a little bit of overkill on the armor department, but she does have the, you know, heroic missile resistance, rather, and yeah, she's just shattered. Just straight up shattered. And with that, obviously, it's going to be a massive dent in the balance of power. Still got to finish off these elves. You know, leadership, though. And so the Pistoliers now come around, maneuver around the back here, just start to absolutely blast these Rangers. Balthazar has also been dropping that Searing Doom on the Silver Helms and Dragon Princes. You can see my Empire Knights and Spearmen, they shouldn't win that engagement, right? Like, Dragon Princes probably, I don't know, maybe the Spearmen would be able to grind him down after a long, long time with the Empire Knights, but Searing Doom definitely making a big difference. And here comes another one. I can show you guys. Searing Doom, I'm a huge fan of against cavalry specifically. I don't know if it's because their models don't get thrown around as much, or because more of the missiles contact an individual model because they're just larger overall, but it does a lot of damage, even to like Dragon Princes and other heavily armored cavalry, so I've used that to great advantage there as well. Basically, it's like raining pistol shots from the sky, right? That's one way of thinking about it. Opponent's going to cast some Shield of Thorns here to try and give himself some physical resistance, but honestly, you would want to just push back and face towards these Pistoliers with the Silverin Guard, and then kind of path them forward to force the Pistoliers away, and that way you're facing them with a unit that has a missile block chance is going to be taking a lot less damage on the approach. But yeah, these Sisters of Avalorn just point blank going to get absolutely filled with bullets here. Definitely not the most competitive replay. I think my opponent's he played decently. I don't know. I don't think he's super new, but definitely seems like he's newer. And not gonna, say too much bad about him. I will say this build, the magic thing, the double casters with 6 spells is too much. It's too much spend on magic. I would say, as a rule of thumb, double caster, even triple caster, is viable, but you want to have like 4 spells usually. 3, I would say, even anywhere like 2 to 4 spells is typical. Actually, 2 to 3. Like 4 or more spells, you're starting to run into problems. There are situations, especially with double caster, where you might take 4, even 5 spells, but I would say anything more than 5 is ridiculous overkill, and you definitely don't need to be taking that many spells. You're paying for spells that you are not going to use. And if you do end up using all of them, then like it's just not nearly as efficient, right? In terms of cost, and especially with a faction like the High Elves, where you need to optimize those costs as much as possible. It is very important. But this is not a replay about the High Elves. This is about my beloved Pistoliers. So let's get back to them. And yeah, I've done some other recent videos about Missile Cav, like Wolf Riders. I'm planning on doing one soon about Marauder Horsemen as well. But sort of those are what I would consider to be some of the best missile cavalry in the game, largely. And so we'll go ahead and have a comparison again. Wolf Riders is an interesting one because Pistoliers have much better DPS than Wolf Riders. However, Wolf Riders have a little bit more unit models and slightly higher range. Pistoliers are, slightly better in combat as well? Yeah, slightly better in combat. The plus 10 charge bonus is pretty helpful. And they also have a little bit more ammo as well. Don't have the expendable trait, but they are a bit more expensive, so they're not quite as, just gloriously cheap, but they are cheap enough that you can still use them, and especially given the Empire's access to attack buffs, like with your battle prayers and with like Karl Franz and so on, you can juice them up to where they are decent fighters in melee, sort of like with the Wa on the Wolf Riders. But really, the missile DPS is what makes these guys shine above, right? Comparing them to, like I said, Marauder Horsemen, that's probably the best comparison, because Marauder Horsemen have pretty comparable missile damage. The DPS isn't as good on the regular Marauder Horsemen, but I think Horse Masters even have slightly higher, so... let's see. Yeah, Horse Masters, yeah. Yeah, so it's technically -1 DPS, I guess, over 10 seconds. Slightly less missile damage overall, but still very, very solid missile damage in total with 8 AP per javelin, which, considering this is 4 AP per volley, basically, it is better. But given that the Pistoliers, they're cheaper, if we compare them to the same cost Marauder Horsemen, you can see that the Pistoliers are worse in melee, as you would expect. Some wild Marauders probably going to be a little bit better fighters. Marauder Horsemen do have a little bit lower leadership and health as well, but that DPS being a little bit lower, it does matter, definitely. And given that you have access to Flag of Rust, you've also got armor debuffs from the Witch Hunter, and I guess technically like Lore of Shadows and Lore of Death too. You've got plenty of access, and even Lore of Heavens, plenty of access to armor debuffs to try and make Pistoliers' missile damage even that much better. Because of that DPS, like, they can really perform and even get chevrons, and in terms of like missile cavalry in this price range. I would say they, again, Marauder Horsemen are comparable, but they are the best damage for like non-AP. I mean, obviously, a proper like armor-piercing missile cavalry will have, I guess, better DPS in the armor-piercing department. Like if we go and look at Centaurs with throwing axes, you'll see their DPS is just higher in general, and that will be true of the other throwing axe cavalry and like on the Chaos roster. And you know, if you look at something like Dark Riders, obviously, or Outriders, then they're going to have better armor-piercing DPS. Might just have better DPS overall. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess technically lower DPS overall, but obviously a lot better armor piercing, and I feel like that DPS stat for the Dark Riders is a little bit misleading because of their multi-shot. Maybe it's not adding it correctly, but it seems like it should be a lot higher than that. I guess it is technically correct. That seems wrong to me somehow, but I guess it's just because it's all armor piercing damage, basically, that, yeah, it's literally like almost all armor piercing damage, that it seems so impactful, right? But you would expect that, you know, and these guys, of course, they can only fire forwards, they can't fire while moving, you know, there's other limitations there. And again, with the Outriders, even an in-roster comparison, Outriders, again, can't fire while moving. Their DPS is pretty comparable, very good armor-piercing damage, but the fact that these guys can skirmish, too, especially shooting at flying targets, like in that one, I was able to kind of, and I guess didn't show it too much, but you can kind of continue to fire while you're chasing something up in the air is super important in certain situations. And if you want to see more Pistolier games, I've got, like, literally any Empire replay on my channel has, like, a 90% chance of having Pistoliers in it. So, there you go. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.